welcome to Auto News Talk. So, imagine dropping $80,000 on a premium luxury SUV.
Oh, yeah. That is a lot of money.
Right. I mean, you drive it off the lot, the leather smells perfect, the tech is totally flawless.
Best feeling in the world.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But then a few years later, you wake up, get in the car, and find your built-in navigation is completely dead.
Just a blank screen.
Completely dead. Your emergency crash response system, permanently disabled.
Wow.
And the crazy thing is, it's not because a wire snapped or like a fuse blew. It is because a telecommunications company miles away updated a cell tower.
Right.
And just like that, your 2-ton piece of beautiful machinery is suddenly a technological brick.
It is terrifying when you put it like that.
It really is. If you look at the automotive world, we are in the middle of this massive identity crisis.
Mm.
On one side, vehicles are morphing into rolling smartphones, deeply reliant on servers and code.
Yeah, highly digital.
But then, at the exact same time, there's this desperate primal grab for old-school, unfiltered horsepower.
People who just want a mechanical connection to the road.
Exactly. And all of this is happening while the fundamental economics of buying, selling, and owning a car are just completely shifting under our feet.
It really is a precarious landscape to map out. I mean,
When-
if we look at the big picture of what you're walking into as a consumer, the terrain has entirely changed.
Oh, absolutely.
So we're going to explore this whole ecosystem. We'll start right on the dealer lot, looking at the hidden economic machinery that's reshaping who you actually buy from.
Okay, yeah.
From there, we will move into the very real and honestly often invisible dangers of these new software-heavy vehicles.
Of technological bricks.
Exactly. And finally, we'll look at the loud mechanical pushback from the performance sector that absolutely refuses to go digital.
I love that. Let's unpack the ground level first, because the actual retail landscape, the dealerships in your town, is undergoing this massive, quiet consolidation.
Very quiet, but huge.
Yeah. Reading through a dealer-focused weekly roundup that tracks auto retail trends, it paints a picture that honestly reminds me of a high-stakes game of Monopoly.
Huh. Yeah.
The big players are just buying up the board.
And, well, just like in Monopoly, once you own all the properties in a region, you control the rent.
Right.
That industry roundup highlights just how aggressive this ownership shuffle is. You have massive auto groups and these heavily capitalized buyers aggressively expanding.
Just scooping everything.
Scooping them up. They are acquiring exotic car retailers, executing multi-dealership purchases, and taking over premium brands. The sheer volume of buy-sell activity is staggering.
So why is this happening?
Well, the mechanics of it come down to leverage. When borrowing costs rise and inventory gets complicated, smaller independent dealers struggle with floor plan financing.
Floor plan financing.
Yeah, it's the credit they use to buy the cars sitting on their lots.
Okay.
So when that gets expensive, the mega groups step in. They have the massive capital to just absorb them.
So the local family-owned dealership is quietly becoming like a corporate outpost.
Exactly.
But how does that monopoly game actually impact the person, walking in to buy a car?
It changes the entire profit model of the building you walk into. Because the underlying economic pressures are changing your behavior as a buyer, these mega dealerships have to change their survival tactics.
All right.
That same roundup points out a glaring trend. Owners of premium vehicles are increasingly trading down into mainstream brands.
Wait, really? Trading down?
Yes.
That is a fascinating economic indicator. I mean, when someone who's accustomed to driving a luxury badge decides to trade it in for a standard mainstream vehicle,
Which it has a lot.
it tells you the affordability pinch is cutting deep into the upper middle class. They are actively trying to shed that monthly payment.
And because consumers are feeling that squeeze, front-end vehicle sales like actually moving new metal off the lot are getting so much tougher.
Okay, so where do these consolidated dealership groups turn for profit then?
They build hotels on Boardwalk. In the dealership world, that is fixed operations. The service lane, the parts department, the multi-point inspection.
Right, the maintenance.
Exactly. The roundup notes that dealerships are hyper-focusing on getting you into the service drive. They're even trying to source their used car inventory directly from the people who just came in for an oil change.
Oh, wow. So you come in for an oil change and they try to buy your car.
Yep. They are trying to extract maximum value from the vehicles already on the road because selling new ones is stalling out.
Which makes perfect business sense. I mean, if people were keeping their cars longer, you monetize the maintenance.
Right.
I will say, the one frustrating limitation of reading that kind of market tracking is that while it expertly maps out these affordability pressures and the dealer consolidation, it doesn't give us a timeline.
Oh, of course not.
It leaves us completely in the dark on when these affordability pressures will actually ease up.
We only get to see the reaction, not the resolution.
Yeah.
And knowing that buyers are stretched to their limits, you have to look at how the industry is physically and strategically preparing for this tighter market.
Right. If you know the terrain is getting rough, you have to reinforce the vehicle.
Exactly.
And looking at the industry's major events, there is an aggressive pivot happening behind the scenes. Like, look at the NADA show.
The National Automobile Dealers Association.
Yes. Their massive event in Orlando spans 4 days of education sessions and franchise meetings. But the standout detail from their registration announcement, the expo portion of the show is entirely sold out.
Wow. Sold out. You have to ask, what is driving that level of desperation for floor space?
Right.
The announcement notes that this expo is hyper-focused on products, technologies, and business issues affecting retail.
So it's all about tech.
Yes. These dealers, the ones consolidating and trying to maximize their service lanes, are hungry for technological solutions. They're looking for advanced digital retail tools, AI-driven service schedulers, and, software that can squeeze efficiency out of a highly pressurized market.
I just wish the announcement gave us a sneak peek behind the curtain. The limitation there is it doesn't list the exact breakthrough technologies that will be showcased on the floor.
Yeah, that's a shame.
It just tells us the demand for them is absolutely through the roof.
But, the adaptation isn't just happening in dealership software. Automakers themselves are ripping up the floorboards and physically retooling their manufacturing footprints.
Oh, definitely.
A separate report on Stellantis shows they're planning a massive overhaul for the Jeep Cherokee, moving it onto their new STLA-1 architecture.
STLA-1.
Right. And the major logistical headline here is that they are shifting production from Mexico back to the United States, specifically to the Belvidere assembly plant in Illinois.
Wait, hold on, though. The Cherokee nameplate just came back to the market after a hiatus.
Yeah. So rebuilding it on a totally new architecture this fast, isn't that financial whiplash for an automaker? Usually they milk a chassis generation for close to a decade before totally revamping it.
It is an incredibly fast pivot, and I think it highlights the panic happening at the engineering level.
There's panic.
Well, they cannot afford to let platforms age for a decade anymore. To understand why, you have to look at what STLA-1 actually is.
Okay.
It is not just a traditional metal frame. It's a highly flexible, software-integrated platform designed to accommodate different powertrains dynamically.
Ah, so it's ready for anything.
Exactly. Automakers need architectures that can handle heavy digital integration and modular battery or hybrid systems.
Which is why the urgency to get the Cherokee onto that platform makes sense, even if it is a massive supply chain headache.
Right.
Though, the Stellantis report leaves some massive open questions.
It doesn't specify the production volumes, and more importantly, it doesn't confirm what powertrains it will actually use. Like, will this new Cherokee be gas, a plug-in hybrid, or a full EV? We're left guessing.
But the very fact that they are rushing to a platform that can theoretically handle all three proves that the underlying digital capability of the vehicle is now the priority.
Yeah, but building a state-of-the-art modular factory doesn't solve the industry's biggest vulnerability.
No, it doesn't.
You can have the most advanced manufacturing on Earth, but none of that physical metal matters if the silicon inside it becomes obsolete.
And that collision between hardware and software is the most dangerous issue facing consumers.
It really is.
A dedicated report on software-heavy vehicles lays out just how precarious this situation is. We basically have two opposing forces.
Okay, what are they?
Well, first, the average car on U.S. roads is now 12.8 years old. We are keeping our physical cars running longer than ever before.
12.8 years. Wow.
Right. But at the same time, the software inside them is aging at the speed of a smartphone.
And the consequences of that are completely maddening. That report details the exact scenario I mentioned earlier, the AT&T 3G network shutdown.
Oh, that was a mess.
A huge mess. When that cellular network was retired, millions of actual vehicles were left completely disconnected. People who paid thousands of extra dollars for emergency response capabilities, built-in navigation, and remote start features
Just gone.
suddenly found themselves driving cars where those features were permanently erased.
Because to understand the mechanics of that, you have to realize these cars have physical cellular modems soldered onto their circuit boards.
Right. It's actual hardware.
Yes. When the telecom company shuts off 3G, that physical modem cannot magically talk to a 4G or 5G network. So the cruel irony is that the physical car is pristine.
The brakes work.
The transmission shifts perfectly, the engine runs, but because the digital infrastructure it relied on vanished, the car is fundamentally broken.
That is just wild.
And we're seeing this across the board. The report notes that Tesla has faced issues where older hardware simply cannot support newer self-driving features without expensive physical computer retrofits.
I mean, some manufacturers are trying to get out in front of the anxiety, right? Like a specific example in the report mentions Rivian.
Yeah, Rivian.
They're explicitly promising that their vehicle computing capacity will support 7 to 10 years of software upgrades.
And safety updates lasting indefinitely, which is great.
It sounds super reassuring on a showroom floor, but do the math.
Right, exactly.
7 to 10 years is significantly shorter than the 12.8-year average lifespan of a car on the road. So what happens to the third owner of that vehicle?
It fundamentally rewrites the rules of the used car market. The report suggests that we'll soon judge used cars not just by checking the tire tread or the odometer, but by checking their software support status.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
If you are buying a used vehicle, a model that still receives over-the-air updates will hold its value. An unsupported model becomes a massive liability.
Because it's dead in the water.
Right. It raises red flags about data privacy, feature lockouts, and whether advanced driver assistance systems like automatic braking or lane keep assist can even be calibrated properly.
This is exactly why the right to repair movement is no longer just about independent mechanics wanting to turn a wrench.
No, it's way bigger.
It's about access to software handshakes. Like, if a sensor breaks and an independent mechanic replaces it, the car's computer might reject the new physical part because it doesn't have the authorized digital key.
Yep, the hardware is locked by the software.
If a manufacturer decides a car is obsolete, third parties must be allowed to maintain the code. But the terrifying limitation that the report openly admits is that right now there is zero industry standard for what happens to these cars at year 15 or 20.
Nobody has a long-term digital maintenance plan.
Nobody.
And that extreme anxiety, that feeling of being locked out of your own car, of having your features held hostage by a server, is driving a massive cultural rebellion within the automotive world.
Oh, absolutely.
While half the industry is obsessing over over-the-air updates and touchscreens, another faction is violently pushing back against it.
The unfiltered rebellion.
Yes.
This is where the emotional side of driving comes roaring back. Because while all this existential dread over software obsolescence is brewing, Ford rolls up to the Woodward Dream Cruise and unveils the Mustang Dark Horse SC Convertible.
What a machine.
It is the absolute antithesis of a rolling smartphone. It is a grand tourer built by Ford Racing.
And it is heavily engineered to handle raw mechanical forces. One of the sources highlights that it features a Magna-Ride suspension and a specific magnesium brace to stiffen the open-top body.
Which is just brilliant engineering, because when you chop the roof off a car, you lose a massive amount of torsional rigidity.
Right, it gets floppy.
Exactly. The car wants to twist and flex, so they use magnesium, which is incredibly light and stiff, to brace the chassis. And the Magna-Ride suspension uses fluid filled with iron particles. An electromagnet changes the viscosity of that fluid thousands of times a second to keep the tires glued to the road.
That's incredible.
And all of this mechanical genius is necessary because of what's under the hood. A 5.2-liter supercharged V8 engine pushing out 784 horsepower.
I mean, that is an absurd amount of power for a street-legal convertible.
It is.
But the most telling detail from the unveiling isn't just the horsepower, it's the sensory experience. Ford explicitly stated the car is designed so the driver gets the full, unfiltered soundtrack of the V8 and the supercharger whine.
Yes. The open roof isn't just for the sunshine. It is literally a design feature so you can hear the mechanics working.
You can hear the machine.
You can hear the air being violently compressed into the engine.
Yeah.
It is a deeply emotional, visceral, analog experience. It requires your full attention.
And that tells us automakers know a highly profitable segment of buyers still desperately wants a physical connection to their machine.
They do not want to be passengers in a digital pod.
No, they don't. But keeping things analog is becoming an engineering nightmare, even for the heritage performance brands.
Really? How so?
Well, a broader industry roundup highlights the specific struggles here. Porsche's executives admit their engineers are currently unable to make their beloved manual transmissions compatible with their new hybrid systems.
Which makes perfect sense when you think about the physics of a hybrid system.
Yeah.
You're trying to seamlessly blend the instant torque of an electric motor with the building torque of a combustion engine. A computer can slip a dual-clutch transmission perfectly to manage that handoff. But a human being operating a mechanical clutch pedal, we are way too unpredictable.
Right. The software can't anticipate exactly when or how aggressively you're going to drop the clutch.
Exactly, which ruins the hybrid efficiency and the torque delivery.
The engineering friction is so high that Lamborghini's CEO stated in that same roundup that they have entirely abandoned manual transmissions.
Wow.
The pure analog experience is just being squeezed out of existence by the complexity of modern powertrains.
So the analog car is basically becoming a bespoke collector's item. Now, the Ford source does leave us hanging on a few important details.
Pricing, I'm guessing?
Yeah, it doesn't mention the pricing for this 784 horsepower monster. And it leaves out whether the carbon fiber track pack, which is available on the coupe, will be offered on the convertible.
Always some fine print.
Always. But the core message is undeniable. The demand for raw, unfiltered driving is fiercely alive.
So if we step back and synthesize everything we've explored across these sources, 3 very clear themes emerge.
Okay, let's hear them.
First, we have the squeeze on consumers. We saw this in the dealer roundup, where economic pressure is forcing premium buyers to trade down, while consolidated mega dealerships extract their profits from the service lane.
Right. And the second?
Second, we see the rapid tech pivot. The sold-out NADA Tech Expo and Stellantis rushing the Cherokee onto the advanced STLA-1 architecture prove the industry is aggressively retooling its underlying digital platforms.
Makes sense. And the third theme is the digital versus analog divide. You have the software-heavy vehicle report waving massive red flags about digital obsolescence, sitting right alongside Ford, releasing a supercharged magnesium-braced Mustang, specifically so you can hear the engine scream.
Which brings us to the 2 fundamental tensions currently pulling the automotive industry apart.
Okay.
The first is longevity versus obsolescence, directly contrasting the software-heavy vehicle report with our driving habits. Consumers are keeping physical cars on the road for almost 13 years, but the technology inside them is aging faster than ever.
Proven by the AT&T 3G network shutdown that bricked features overnight.
Exactly. The steel outlives the silicon.
Wow. And the second tension.
Future tech versus enthusiast holdouts. The industry is relentlessly pushing toward EV and digital integration, which is exactly why Porsche and Lamborghini are abandoning the manual transmission, but that digital future is colliding directly with the visceral, gas-guzzling demand for that 784 horsepower Mustang.
So what is the practical takeaway for you, the listener? I think it's a fundamental change in how you evaluate your next vehicle.
Absolutely.
When you go to buy a car, looking under the hood and checking the vehicle history report is no longer enough. You need to ask a completely new set of questions regarding its digital lifespan.
You have to ask, how long is the manufacturer legally bound to support this car's software?
Yes.
What happens to my navigation when the cellular network upgrades? Who holds the digital keys to repair this vehicle?
Because if you don't ask those questions, you might end up financing a very expensive piece of driveway art.
That is the hard truth.
Well, thank you so much for tuning into Auto News Talk. Through all these sources, we've seen that we are standing in the middle of a bridge between the mechanical past and the digital future.
And the toll to cross it is getting higher every single day. The landscape demands that you pay attention to what you cannot see.
Perfectly said. Here's a final thought to mull over before our next conversation. Walk out to your driveway and look at your car. If the manufacturer's servers went dark tomorrow, how much of your vehicle would actually still work? Keep that question in mind next time you visit a dealership.